are going to be making Rejuvelac.
What's Rejuvelac?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Rejuvelac is a fermented grain, and so you can use all kinds of different grains, whatever you like, but today we're gonna use quinoa. I'm actually new at making this, so I'm kind of excited about it. Quinoa, though, is kind of an interesting little thing. It's a pseudo grain. So it's actually a seed, which is why it's so high in protein, and it's gluten-free, which is another great reason we're gonna use it. So these are the some of the tools that you might need. The first thing we've got is I've bought some quinoa from the bulk bin. This is a really inexpensive way to buy your quinoa. This is a mason jar, and I've got a lid that goes with it, or the ring that goes with it. And then I've got a 1/4 cup measuring here. I've got some cheesecloth. I'm gonna use a sprouting cup, I guess you would call this, and it has a really fine strainer on here. You can just use a fine mesh strainer, that's fine too. I'm gonna rinse the quinoa first. I've already boiled my water, so I'm gonna pour my 1/4 cup quinoa right in my sprouter jar. Just rinse it in my sink. I love this sprouter jar because I use it for rinsing all my grains and beans. I got it from this company called Sprout People. I think it's like sproutpeople.org, maybe online, but you can Google Sprout People and you'll be able to find it. So I'm just filling it up and then letting it see, and then I just rinse it, and I'm gonna do that a few times just to get all the dust and everything off it. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is sterilize our jar. The best way to do it is if you have canning equipment and you can put the jar down in some boiling water and then lift it out with your canning tongs, but I don't have that yet. So we're gonna do it this way, where I've got the jar in the sink, I'm pouring my boiling water in. I'm gonna add my spoon in here. And this is a clean jar, so it's already been washed, but now we're just sterilizing it. So I'm gonna let that sit for just a second. I'm gonna put my tea kettle back, and then I'm gonna use this to pour out the water so I don't burn my hand. Make sure you also remember to sterilize your ring too. So if you need to, you can get a bowl of water or a bowl, and you can put this in with the boiling water. And just to be on the safe side, we're gonna be sterilizing the mesh too. I don't want to take any chances. There it goes. Okay, now I'm gonna pour out my boiling water. I already took out my spoon and my mesh and the ring, and I put it on a plate that I sterilized as well, just to be on the safe side. Okay, I've got just a kitchen towel around the jar, just to be on the safe side because I don't want to burn my hands. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is, hopefully this is cool enough. All right, the spoon's still too hot, so I'm going to use my trusty towel, and I'm gonna spoon the quinoa that I rinsed, and I've only got a 1/4 cup here, so I wanna make sure I get all of it. Fermenting is such a great thing to do because it has so many probiotic benefit, really fosters that healthy flora. Okay, so next what we're gonna do is we're gonna soak the grains or the quinoa for 4 to 6 hours. Pour some filtered water in here. This is 1 cup. And we're just gonna let this, I'm gonna cover it with the mesh just so nothing weird flies in there. And we're just gonna soak it like this and let it hang out for 4 to 6 hours. And then we're gonna come back to you after it's done soaking. All right, so we're ready to drain and rinse the quinoa, so I'm just gonna drain it right with the mesh on top. So here goes. And if you don't have good tap water, you want to use filtered water for the rinsing process. So just keep that in mind. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert it and let it sit while it has some time to sprout. We're going to put it on my dish strainer here. And that way any additional liquid can drain out. Okay, you'll notice that the quinoa is evenly distributed because you want to be able to get enough air on all of the little seeds in there, or grains if you're using a grain. And what you're gonna do is let this set for 2 to 3 days, but you're gonna be rinsing it 2 or 3 times a day. So I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do the rinsing process. So I'm gonna pick it up. So we're rinsing, and you wanna make sure that you're going to use filter or spring water. So I'm just gonna rinse it right in the sprouter jar, or right in the jar with the mesh. Yep, come on. It's getting a little stuck there. Okay, and I'm gonna do another rinsing. Okay, and you can say sweet things to it as you're rinsing it, and you know, talk to it. It's gonna help it grow a little bit faster. Okay, so I've got it. I'm gonna do it one more time just so I can get all the little grains down on one side. Okay, all right. Now I'm gonna go put it back on its 45-degree angle and let it sit a little while longer, and then I will come and visit it again in a few hours and do my rinsing process. And then once the little grains sprout tails, because they're actually gonna be sprouting, so they'll be about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch, and that's when you know the sprouting process is gonna be done, and then we'll be able to move on to the next step. So we are going to want to do the rinsing probably in the morning when you get up, just so you can remember. And then if you want to do it one time midday, that's fine. And then you can do it again right before you go to bed. So that would be your 2 to 3 times a day. And that will be enough to help it sprout. For the sake of the video, we are going to say these are fully sprouted. So we're going to move to the next step just so you know exactly what to do. So I'm gonna take off the top here and set it aside. And all I'm gonna do is just fill up my little sprouts here with filtered water, like so. Then I'm just gonna take a normal kitchen towel and cover it. And then we're going to put it in off to the side just to hang out for 3 to 5 days, 68 to 80 degrees, and it's gonna ferment. Longer fermentation time will produce a stronger product. And I will tell you what it should smell like at the end. It'll have a pleasant sour aroma, and it'll have a lemony, effervescent, tangy flavor when it's fully fermented. So if anything smells sort of off, or you see any mold, then you would discard that, but you're gonna smell a little bit of sourness, and then sort of a lemony flavor. And then once you're done with that, you can cover it and store it in the refrigerator. You can drink it, you can blend it, you can turn it into cheese, all kinds of different things. But it then will have all of those really amazing probiotic properties. So I hope you enjoyed this.